going to go ahead and call the strategic planning meeting for the Board of County Commissioners to order for Monday, August 31st. Let the record reflect we have all three commissioners present. And first topic for this afternoon is Kathleen Torella.
Thank you, Chairman Pruitt and Commissioners. Kathleen Torella, Community Services Housing Community Development Director. And I wanted to bring a topic that has two requests for approval from the commissioners in it. The first one has to do with, they're both related to, I should start with, they're both related to the Joya Child and Family Development Medicaid Administrative Claiming Program. And they came about because we were notified within the last few weeks that Spokane Regional Health District, who is a critical partner to this program, may not continue it after the end of the year. That's the first item, and the first item of approval would be for you to, once I give you the background, things like that on it, would be though to communicate with Spokane Regional Health District. I provided a draft letter for doing so about the importance of this program and the importance to our community for it. And then the second item was that Ms. Colin Fuchs communicated via email with Commissioner Kearns regarding some questions and information she had related to this issue, as well as other issues she had to do with questions about the millage program that goes to our Developmental Disabilities Division. And so the second component is to seek your approval for our responding to that email on your behalf with regards to those questions. So those are the two items. The first item, just to give you a little background information, which is in the BOCC memo that I provided to you, is background on what the Medicaid Administrative Claiming Program is. This is a federal match program. So, and what we do is it's a contract that Spokane Regional Health District has with us, as well as with Joya. They contract with us for the $95,000 of non-Medicaid funding, and it must be non-Medicaid funding, to provide them with $95,000, of which then they contract with the healthcare authority for the other $95,000 match for that goes to Joya directly to be able to provide outreach and linkage services for individuals with developmental disability needs. And Spokane Regional Health District is the only entity in our region that can participate in this role with Joya, ourselves, and Healthcare Authority, because they are a local health jurisdiction, which is what it requires in order to have this program in place. And so that's some of the background about what the program is. If you would like more details on that program, I do have Brian Nichols here who can explain more about the services. If not, or we can come back to it if you do. The other background information I think is important for all of you to be aware of is attachment 1 is a Board of County Commissioners resolution that was passed on May 23rd, 2000, where the Board of County Commissioners at that time passed a resolution providing for a portion of ongoing millage funding to the Guild School for participating in the MAC program, the Medicaid Administrative Claiming Program. And the Joya Child and Family Development entity they renamed it. It used to be formerly the Guild School, so it is the same entity. The application by our department of this resolution has been to historically fund the Guild and now Joya organization in contract to operate the Joya program. As I said, at $95,000 annually, with the federal match funding from Spokane Regional Health District, making it a total of $190,000 annually for the MAC program. Basically, the way it works is the services are performed. They invoice to Spokane Regional Health District, who then invoices the Healthcare Authority, and then they are all reimbursed, but it has to go through that methodology for a MAC program. Spokane Regional Health District has other MAC programs. This is the only one that they do for us. So again, in June 2020, the Spokane Regional Health District contacted Brian Nichols, our program manager, with questions about continuing participation in the Joya MAC program. After discussion with the parties involved, Spokane Regional Health District agreed to contract with our department and Joya for the MAC program, but only through December 31st of this year. They stated to Brian that that would give them time to reevaluate their ongoing participation as the LHJ in that program. The second part of the memo, I'd be glad to go through if there are questions about it. It really answers the questions that Ms. Colleen Fuchs had in her email, which is about millage and how we utilize that funding. And one of her questions was, if this program is ended, does Joya no longer receive the funding? And that is correct, because again, that's how it works. The $95,000 that we give now towards this program would no longer be able to be provided for this program, because it's the only way these services can be provided is through the MAC program through the Healthcare of Washington Healthcare Authority. And so that funding instead would go into an RFP and go out and through an RFP, which Joya could apply for as well, for our standard developmental disability services like early childhood services and things like that. So they would not automatically be able to get it, because the program would end if Spokane Regional Health District ceases to support and participate in the MAC program for Joya.
But it would only be half the amount, correct? Because the federal match wouldn't be there?
Correct. It'd only be the $95,000 that we currently put forward to the Spokane Regional Health District would be the amount going into an RFP.
So another way to look at this is, if the health district doesn't continue to do the administrative services they do, there will be roughly $100,000 that today go to help kids with disabilities that will no longer come to our community.
That is correct. And those services, yeah, and those services can't at all be done.
Okay.
Joya would lose $200,000.
Well, Joya would lose $200,000. That's correct, okay. Brian. Joya currently receives about close to $200,000, $190,000 to $200,000, because they get the match. So that would be lost from the community. For our department, we would simply have to RFP that $95,000 to other services.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's pretty clear we need to tell the health district that they need to figure out a way to continue to administer this. And so, I mean, that's where I'm at.
Well, and I think, I know that Brian has said that we've offered to pay admin costs and a certain amount of admin costs that would help. And they've said that's not really the issue. As I understand it, they're kind of going through like a lean process. And so they're looking to see what contracts they may not need. And so they were just going to cut it, because obviously it's not directly from them, it's through us to them, to Joya. So I don't know that they fully understood the importance of it. And that's why I thought, as the commissioners being members of the Spokane Regional Health District's board, that you could certainly speak, on behalf of the community with regards to the importance of the program.
Right. I would say, I know Amelia's been working hard to try to look at what are mandated services that they need to be doing versus what are services that are nice for them and good for them to be doing. And so I think in that, what are the services for the community that they're doing that aren't mandated, what are necessary. And so we can definitely have this conversation with her that if this would go away, it would cause a burden on that, when, because I know they're dealing with on the non-essential stuff. I mean, they're going to have a shortfall next year. It's just going to be with COVID and all of that stuff continuing, CARES dollars end. I mean, we got to, they're trying to figure out what to do that has to be done. So, but I'm happy to have all of us contact Amelia.
Mm-hmm.
So then, do you want to submit the letter then that's also provided in the handouts? Which basically just outlines support for the program?
That's the one-page letter that she's delivered in the package. It's directed to Amelia Clark.
It's attachment 2.
Okay.
Well, do we want to have a conversation before we send her the letter? I mean, I guess I'm kind of disappointed that, not disappointed, I shouldn't say it that way. I guess I would like to have the conversation with her before we send her a formal letter, because she's not even aware that we're becoming aware of this, I would think at this point.
Josh, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, where I'm at, when I read through that letter, I mean, I'm comfortable sending the letter. I mean, I don't think it's anything that's, accosting them or anything. It's stating just sort of our position on where we're at, that, we support them continuing in this program. So.
Okay, that's fine. I haven't read the letter, so.
I think,
So,
if I may, the last sentence in that, Mary, is that the BOCC appreciates Spokane Regional Health District's consideration of this request to continue their MAC program with Joya. And the reason I bring that up is if then Amelia wants to have a conversation, that's kind of inviting her to have one if she's got any issues with it. That's the way I read it. Kind of, instead of saying, we're telling you to do this, that's the way I read it.
Yeah, well, and you and I are having a discussion with Amelia on Wednesday, I think. So we can certainly bring it up with her at that point. So, yeah, I'm gonna send a letter and then we'll talk through the letter with her on Wednesday.
Sure.
so Josh, it's back to you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, move to approve and authorize the signing of the draft letter here to Amelia Clark of the Spokane Regional Health District regarding the Joya MAC program as presented by Kathleen Torella, to be signed by the commissioners and authorize the use of our stamps.
Second that?
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passed unanimously. Then,
Thank you, commissioners. And then Commissioner Kearns, since the email went to you, do you approve our responding? And a lot of it would be with the attachments that you have here because they
Yeah.
answer the question.
Yeah, no. She sent a lot of questions that I had no idea what the answers were. So yeah, no. As long as you're providing her with the answer she's looking for, I'm totally fine with you doing that.
Okay, absolutely. And we've been in conversation with her through the whole time period as we were gathering that information and preparing to meet with you, but we just wanted to make sure that you're okay with that.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
that's it.
Then I think that's it for this topic. Then I believe that we were also asked to provide you with an eviction rental assistance program update by the HCD program manager.
Yeah, I think we were just looking for kind of a status report on where we were at with the grant and did the check clear and are we ready to start raising funds against it?
Well, we definitely have received the contract and it's all been fully executed. Commissioners have signed that as well too. So that piece is done. And I'll turn over to Tim. He can talk about where we're at with the RFP and things like that for the.
Yeah, thanks, Kathleen. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat as commissioners and the public are. As you know, on August 8th, we received a contract from the Department of Commerce that was executed. Since that time, we've had a request for proposal, and I believe that was our instructions. I think this is just as my flavor of how this program might best be operated if we had the capacity in-house, as we've done in the past, to run this program in-house. This is a 4-month program. We have 4 months to allocate $6 million. And it's very prescriptive. So in the past, we've taken stimulus money and run it in-house just because of the timing elements and some of the nuances of the regulatory requirements. That's not the case now. So we went out for an RFP. Applications, responses will be back on Friday. So on September 4th, we will know whether or not we have a program. To sort of couch that position, I've been in contact with our local community action agency, and trying to gauge their information. I provided them basically some background. They've declined. It's just a tight time frame, and they want to do it very well. This is going to require a real focus on marginal populations, serving marginal populations, which are called out in the by and for structure of the RFP. I've been talking to the Spokane Housing Authority. They are looking at it. I think that they may well become our anchor agency. But again, this is going to call in a lot of by and for agencies, either through a memorandum of understanding or a contract, because this grant requires a minimum of 5% of the allocated funds to be set aside for by and for organizations. I think that assists that, there's $1.2 million available for outreach, education, translation. And that's, I think, going to be a real asset to these organizations. Keep in mind that it's going to require some fiscal responsibility for whoever takes this on, because not a lot of agencies can process $1 million a month or $1 million plus a month. And this is a reimbursable program, as most of our grants are. So you need to have that fiscal ability and capacity to do that. So I've been working and talking to some by and large agencies, communicating to them what our intent is. I think initially we had a timeline for October 1. Commerce does not like that timeline, so I am going to do what we can do, assuming we have some capable agencies, to get this up and running in 2 weeks, basically. So that's where we are right now.
Okay. Any questions? So I did find out some additional information over the lunch hour. One of the other requirements in the city's rent assistance program is that it's only eligible for landlords that live inside the city of Spokane. So if you're a landlord and you have property in Spokane, that you live in Spokane Valley or in the unincorporated area of Spokane, you are not eligible for any of the rent assistance through the city of Spokane.
Oh, so it's the landlord's, it's contingent on the landlord's residency, not the location of the unit?
It's both. You have to have the unit inside the city of Spokane, and the landlord has to live inside the city of Spokane. That's one of the other things that makes it so limiting.
Okay.
Is a lot of folks that have rental property inside the city don't live in the city. So just one more chink in the armor to make the program unworkable. So I did talk to Rebecca White over the noon hour, and they're going to be doing a story on it. But it was interesting because she was saying that even Terry Anderson, on behalf of the rental association or the tenant association, is also not happy with the program. So both the landlords and the tenants are not happy. So the program's probably not going to go anywhere in its current configuration, which again means it's probably going to be more pressure on us to try and step forward and take care of the need.
Well, it at least sounds like we're on the right path. So.
Yeah, Mary?
So Tim, how many different, so you said the RFP was out and you're waiting for it to come back. How many people do you think are applying?
We have about 4 or 5 agencies that have started their application.
Okay.
Some of those agencies are not suitable to undertake this type of activities. They're looking at this similar to a community development block grant, RFP. They're really looking at serving their own populations rather than the marginal populations identified in this request for proposal. I might add that this is a county-wide activity. And so we really want to get that out to the unincorporated area agencies as well as the 12 13 cities and towns. And it's going to require participation from the landlord, because if they accept these dollars, there are terms that go along with that. But we don't have ordinances that will, require that landlord not to evict this person after they receive that assistance, for example. But this, again, assistance is limited to 3 months. It could be used for arrears, current rent, or future rent. And it's based on 80% of their current rent or the fair market rents. So it is limited, but it has been very streamlined in terms of the process. The application and all of the materials are in several languages to do that. There is a training webinar that we can utilize on how to fill out those applications. But again, I think it's real important to know that landlords really have to cooperate in this program.
So, and with this program as well, how much did you say was administrative versus how much is going to really go towards rental assistance?
Well, the program allows 15% for administration.
That's pretty high.
So it's
But-
3.5 according to the budget.
Yeah,
3.5 would go to rental.
Yeah. but looking at that budget, basically 65% of the funds go to direct services.
That's pretty cool.
But that's quite a bit that's not going then.
Tony Hall's.
Yeah, and a lot of it is going to, like I said, the outreach, 1.2 million. That's a lot of money.
Right. No, that seems like a lot of money for outreach. Which is there, I guess there's probably no way to adjust that to see if we can get more of it going towards the rental assistance.
Yes, Commissioner, our hope is that we get some responsive applications, and then we can negotiate and actually look at what is going into outreach. This is a preliminary budget that we submitted to Commerce so that we could get in there in time to get those grants. We did not have a program in mind when we applied.
Okay.
So the next
and I
step will be to work with those agencies and refine that budget and see where we are.
Okay, because I know you're under a tight time crunch to get that in. But I think I was the one that was helping push. So thank you for getting it in on time and making that happen.
Okay, any more questions for Tim and Kathleen, Mary?
Yeah, a couple more. So that's our rental assistance, that grant. But then we had our CDBG CARES money that came in. And where are we at on that?
Well, thank you for asking that question. The CDBG COVID dollars are going toward mortgage assistance. We are, the other part is going to food. And so we are in the process of entering into an agreement. We have two agencies. One will be Spokane Valley Partners. The other agency will be Spokane Neighborhood Action Programs, the housing counseling portion of the agency. They are quite adept at working with mortgage workouts. And so that's where we are with those. We can have those up and running by the end of, next month, I'm sure. What we have done in terms of the rental assistance is not use CDBG CV, but use our Home Investment Partnership Program. We're also working with the Housing Authority on that. We plan on allocating $500,000. What made that possible was HUD provided jurisdictions lots of waivers to accommodate using its home rental assistance or tenant-based rental assistance. And again, those will be utilized outside of the city of Spokane because the city has its own home entitlement. So we're looking at the unincorporated areas in the 12 cities. That hasn't been released yet because we have not gotten the contract and those details. But when we do, we'd like to get that in the newspaper. We'd like to have some articles based on where to get that assistance, what the qualifications are. And it's going to be a real stripped down version of HUD's requirements for rental assistance. So it's going to go fast. $500,000 is almost nothing. But it's going to help tenants with 3 months worth of rent, and it can be used for arrearages. But there is no other federal requirements that go along with that. So we should be able to move those dollars fairly quickly.
Because I think that was kind of the concern is that, with the additional, funding for rental assistance, where are we at on mortgage assistance? And so probably through both these programs, if you're going to get them going pretty quickly, you're going to know what the true need is. Because I think that's been the hard thing, unless the other commissioners have been able to figure out what the true need is out there. So anyway, thank you, and yeah, just keep us informed so we can do whatever we can to help.
Certainly, thank you.
Tim, am I correct too that with the CDBG-CV, the mortgage assistance one, that they're also doing energy assistance within that as well too?
SNAP has had a grant for rental assistance. They had, I think, a grant for $1.2 million, and that went to serve 300 individuals or renters. That's gone. But along with this is energy assistance and utility assistance. So we're combining that for people that are also getting mortgage assistance.
And I just wanted to call that out because that was one of the top
Yeah.
priorities you approved.
And again, this has to be coordinated with cities and towns that are receiving CARES dollars, and they're putting those dollars into mortgage or rental assistance. Because with our CDBG CV funding, there's a requirement on the what is it?
Duplication of benefits.
Duplication of benefit. So our money will be used as this last resort after other resources are expended. That has to be coordinated with, for example, the city of Spokane Valley. And there's just a lot of those details we need to continue to coordinate with those jurisdictions. And then we are beginning our 2021 CDBG funding round. And so we will be setting up that whole RFP and application process to kick off in September. And October, we will have applications in November. And we also have allowances for serving agencies for COVID within that application.
Okay, any other questions for either Tim or Kathleen? Very good. Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work. So next we have Gil. We're going to talk about mental health crisis stabilization.
Mr. Chair, if it's okay, I would like to have a 10-minute executive session with everyone that's in the room except for Ron and Gina. And I'm going to call Mr. Hall on the phone. The executive session.
Pending potential litigation, Chairman French and board members. And I'd like to introduce Mark McLean. He's the Senior Deputy Prosecuting Attorney that Mr. Haskell recently hired. And one of his clients is the purchasing department. And so I think that's why Jim has asked him to be here today.
Okay. So
Get Tony on here.
we are going to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing pending or potential litigation. We'll be in executive session for approximately
15 minutes.
15 minutes. And in executive session will be obviously all three commissioners and Bruce, Gil, Jerry, Jim, John, Gary, Jared, me,
Just under the
Jim,
We'll be just under
Mark.
the
and Mark. So let's reflect it as 2:30. All right.